All right, so welcome back to Only Child, which I've been doing kind of few and far apart. This is my spin-off podcast from Sibling Rivalry. I do this one without Monet, so it's more fun. Uh, and there's more truth here. And I'm going to dive right in. Today, my special guest is Chicago drag icon, Miss Lucy Stoole. Mama, how you doing today?
Oh, thank you so much for having me, love. I'm doing great. How are you doing today, Bob?
I'm good. I'm actually in LA right now. This is my first time leaving my home in about 115 days, and I flew to LA to spend a little bit of time here, and then I'm headed back on Tuesday.
I've been dreaming of the beach for the past few weeks. I've literally been looking at used cars to see what I can scrape up and get just so I
Word.
can drive cross country. Like I literally would do it right now. I'm dying to get out.
Well, once the beaches in New York City open, you can always come hang out with me, and we can go to the beach. Because so let me tell you one. So I met Lucy Stoole in Chicago years ago. I got booked right between filming Drag Race and airing. I got booked down at Berlin to
Hmm.
perform, and Lucy was not booked that night, but she made it her business to come out and see me. And I will never forget, like the fact that you like made it your business to come support me on this night when I was not some big RuPaul's Drag Race girl. I was just a black queen coming to Chicago, and you were like, "I'm about to show my black ass face and
Yeah.
support," which I still remember to this day, and I want to thank you for that. And you started a revolution, a true. I don't know that you started. Actually, tell me a little bit about the origins of the Black Drag Council.
The Black Drag Council. Wow, it actually came about pretty quickly and kind of out of necessity for us needing to finally speak up on some injustices that we have been having in the community and with certain people. So literally, it was a group of girls just finally saying, you know what? Let's really do something about this. I'm tired of the subtweets. I'm tired of us whispering about this, in the dressing room when she walks away. Let's fully face this head on since we're in the middle of this movement right now. So, yeah, 20 girls came together and now it's about 60 plus people that have all come together in the siege try and make sure that we are getting some true equity and some rights and some money to these black performers in
And
Chicago.
money, bitch,
Yes, I was like,
and
don't forget money.
motherfucking. Because everyone's like, this is all great. I'm like, but I'm trying now, bitch. If we're gonna talk about getting true shift in power, we need to talk about jobs. We need to talk about money.
Hmm.
Enough of like some folks are like, we're just asking for basic human rights. I'm not asking for basic because I'm not basic.
Nope.
I'm
Well, what we
asking for the
say,
next level.
we're looking for restorative justice, and that is absolutely a part of that because we already know that we're starting at a deficit. So I'm like,
Hmm.
you know what? It is your problem to help us get the fuck back up there. You need
Yes.
to. You need to from here on out.
And I've been telling my friends, which people don't want to hear, but like, I keeps it real. Um, if anything, we need to acknowledge that there will be no shift in power without the loss of power. Someone's going to
Hmm.
have to lose something in order for the folks who have been kept down to get something. That is just what it is. It's this nice idea of being like, power is limitless, but that's not true. There's a limited number of jobs, there's a limited number of money, there's a limited number of houses. So you need to give up something so that other people that you have kept down can have something. So I believe in that. And how did you get
Yes.
chosen as the representative for the Black Drag Council?
Well, because I'm the one that they're like, Lucy, here, will you say this? And I'm like, you know what? I actually don't give a fuck. Yeah, I will absolutely say it. And that's kind of just because that's how I started drag. I started as the girl who lived on the west side and started out performing in punk clubs and doing shit. I didn't care what anybody else had to say. And I wanted to make sure from the beginning that I was honest and vocal about things that were important to me. So if somebody's got something to say, I will be the first to stand up and say it for them. So they kind of were like, would you be the one to approach this because you have a profile that's out there, and also just to be honest, when it comes to these situations, there is a power dynamic that happens, and they were like, you're a bad bitch, you can face this
Yeah,
person. So I was like, yeah, absolutely,
yeah.
I'll do this. But it was me really speaking. Everyone thinks it was just me focusing, and yes, I was a part of it, but it was a group of us standing behind there. It was just me vocalizing it for everyone.
And I really I want to read your headliner, your banner on your Facebook. It is a Megan Thee Stallion tweet. It says, "I just don't like y'all bitches, and I'm not hiding it in 2020." Bye. That sums up what we saw on this town hall. It was legendary for a lot of reasons. First of all, it has inspired a lot of these across the country. There's an open letter starting in New York City. There's ones in Minneapolis, Los Angeles. They actually did one in Minneapolis, and like, there's been a varied amount of responses, because I know in Chicago you are able to affect a lot of change. I know that one of the
Hmm.
bars in Minneapolis, I can't remember the name of it. This is not me trying to hide the name. I literally can't remember the name of it. But one of the bars in Minneapolis, they were like, "We need you to do this, this, and this, or we're going to boycott you." And then the bar was like, "We'd rather close than
Yeah,
do the
that was
right thing."
Lush. It was
That's
Lush
the
in
motherfucking
Minneapolis.
place.
Yeah.
Imagine wanting to hold to your racist ideas so bad, you'd rather just quit the business than to give what's due. Imagine.
Imagine. But there's a lot of people like that. There's a lot of people like that. That's not the only instance of it. And it's like, that's the exact thing that we're talking about. It's like, do you not see that this person would rather tank their entire business than be like, I would rather have a fair and equitable stage for everyone?
Yeah, it's like, can you hire? Listen, we're asking you to either hire two black managers or burn the building to the ground. They're like, hand me a Molotov cocktail because I'm done. It's like, damn. And I've noticed something watching watching the Chicago Drag Council Town Hall. There is like, when you see black people in positions of power, it fucks with people's minds.
It really does.
People were like, "This is so out of the ordinary." It was like watching Django. It was like watching Django Unchained. It was like, wait, but, and you were really, even your friends who you said, "I like this person." Like, what's their name? The one who was, sorry,
Cat.
I'm really bad with Cat. You were like, "I
Yeah.
know you. I can speak to your character. You are a good person." That being said, that does not
Yeah.
excuse all this stuff, and that is something, that is accountability, which people are now having a really hard time doing. Holding their friends as accountable as they'll hold Donald Trump and his supporters. You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely, absolutely. It's a big problem, and it's a part of the problem that led to this getting where it got to, because so many people were like, well, no, I think they're like okay, and they're not a completely bad person. Like, I shouldn't call them out for this one remark, or I shouldn't tell them that they should change this. And it was about stopping that and cutting that off completely and being like, no, we shouldn't be doing that for anyone, like, because it
Yeah.
allows people to abuse this power.
And before we get too into because there are some specific moments I want to talk about. I want to give a shout out to the moderator that you had there,
Yes.
who, I mean, if you look up "bad bitch" in the dictionary, can you talk a little bit about your moderator?
That was Shimmy LaRue, who is a world-renowned burlesque performer, one of the baddest bitches in the land. She's trained in diversity and inclusion, so we thought it was really important to have her there on our side, just to be able to, I don't know, kind of help us like wrap our head around all of these thoughts and help everyone see from like each side. And they
Hmm.
excelled at it, and like black people always do, they just brought another level of like excellence to the whole situation. Like,
Yeah.
there was just some moments like looking at her where I was like, yeah, I feel the same way. I
Well,
agree.
so everyone knows the iconic moment where Shea Coulee asked T Rex if she remembers when the Britney Spears "Slave for You" slave whipping number, and there's a moment where Shea goes, "Do you remember that?" And then Shimmy just goes,
Yeah.
and then T Rex goes,
Oh.
I do, I
Hmm.
do," and then Shea was like, "Yeah, me too." And it was, honestly, this all kind of, so I know T Rex from T Rex booked me in Chicago at that
Yeah.
gig and came
Yeah.
to pick me at the airport, but I don't have as intimate a relationship with T Rex as a lot of the Chicago girls do. And also something that we mentioned between you and I'm so I should do my, I'm not a journalist, so I'm not like one of those journalists that has the name pulled up. She was the queen from Sidetrack, the black queen from Sidetrack, Zai.
Saya Naomi.
Saya. And Saya, who was like, I don't get this experience. And I noticed that, like, whenever I come to towns, I have a certain people treat me differently than they treat other black queens because I was the winner of RuPaul's Drag Race 8. I'm one
Yeah,
of the most famous drag queens in America. So
yeah,
the way you treat me is not going to be how you treat a Shea Coulee before Drag Race, or even a Bob the Drag Queen before Drag Race.
yeah.
One of the instances that really stuck out to me was I used to work at this bar in New York City, and we had this is why I was like, oh my god, we every town has this situation. We There's a show called Queen in New York City. It is the only, well, maybe not anymore, but at the time it was the only review show in New York City where all queens would get together and do like one show. It was the biggest
I've
one.
been there. I love that show.
It's an industry bar, and I used to be a part of the cast, and it was the Black History Month show. So years before, this queen named Holly Day was running the show, and I said, Holly, I think that since it's the Black History, not Holly, Dallas was running it years ago. I said, Dallas, I think that since it's Black History Month, you should let the Black queens host the show. It's the Black History Month show. It's the show
Yeah.
dedicated to Black, and you should let the Black queens host it. And Dallas said, I never thought about that. That makes perfect sense. You all should host. And she let us host the show. And then the next year, Dallas had quit, and this new queen named Holiday stepped up. And I said, Holly, I think that you should let, just like in line with last year, you should let the Black queens host again. And she was like, I don't know. They're used to my face. And I was like, yeah, but also like, but it's like the Black show about Blackness. Like, you should let the Black queens host. She's like, well, I don't want to disrupt the status quo. And I was like, okay, well, you know what? I can't win that battle. I'm going to keep moving on. This is my job. And that is the thing. You're in that position. I'm not the boss there. So I'm like, this is my job. I wasn't Bob the drag queen of television yet. I was just Bob
Mm,
the drag queen, this local drag queen. And then the number was, I will never forget, the opening number was Aida. She wanted to do Aida, the Disney musical Aida. If you don't know Aida, Aida is this number where there's this African queen, and her and her people are all stolen by the white people, and then they're all slaves, and then she's like the queen of the slaves, and yeah, she's like the queen of all the slaves, and then they all look up to her to help get out of the situation they're in. And then she falls in love with the
yeah.
white man, and yada yada yada. So Holly was like, well, we're gonna do Aida, and I'm gonna play Aida. And I was like, excuse me, I'm sorry, what was
Oh
that? But
God.
I don't think that makes sense because you're not black. And then like, and she was like, because I wear like a lot of kente and ankara, and she was like, and I just need to borrow some of your clothes so I can be Aida. And I was like, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to do that. I
No.
don't want to engage in that. And then I quit the show. That was the week I was like, I'm putting in my 2 weeks. And then I did my next show, and then I was done. I did shows twice a month. So I did my one other show, and I was done. Um, and then I was like, oh, shit, like this is happening all over. Just like black people are not a monolith, as you said, neither is
Yeah.
racism. And it
Yeah.
exists abundantly. Anyway, that was what threw me. I want to go back to some of these amazing moments because I'm torn between loving justice and loving drama. And
Which is why it went off so like well. I think it was received so well because people were like, "Oh wow, this is actually them trying to get justice." But bitch, the tea, like,
but
look at it.
girl, so let's talk about sidetrack first. Okay, so it's Dixie, right?
Yeah, now known as Darby Lynn Cartwright.
Oh, come
She's
on the
doing the
right side
work.
of history.
She's doing the work. She is doing the work. She is doing the work.
Let me tell you why Darby is that bitch. First of all, all right, let's get back to the mic. Darby up in here really, because Darby was on this thing being like, I did engage in that. It was wrong.
Yep.
Full stop.
Yeah.
No more. But then was it Brian?
Mm.
Brian was like, well, and I love the part. And I love the part where Darby said, Brian, can you say when we open, we will have these things in place? Yes or no? Can you say that? And
Yeah.
it took everything for him to be like it had to be you, it had to be Shimmy, it had to be Darby. We're all like, what's good? And
Yeah.
then finally he was like, yes, I guess. But like, hats off to Darby because she was not fucking that. That Karen had it.
And I said to her, like, and I said this on there, but like the year before this, completely unprovoked, she approached me and she goes, "Can I speak to you for a second?" She was like, "I need to apologize to you for a lot of things, but one of them is that I did not listen to you because one of the biggest things was that she was hosting a Beyonce show. She was hosting this Beyonce show that was all black girls that would perform,
Girl,
but she was the host of it. And like,
girl.
I was just like, this is so confusing. It makes no sense. Why is this a thing? They ignored me for years. And finally, she came up to me last year and she was like, I've been thinking about a lot of things. And like, I stepped down from this position. You were right about this. Like, I am actively like trying to be better and I am going to continue to do this. So when I saw her reaction in the video, I was like, this is the only genuine reaction that I really like felt and like saw the entire time because I already knew she was trying to do the work. But she was the only one that came there that actually knew what she wanted to do and was helping her boss along in figuring out like what was supposed to be happening. It
Well,
was surreal to watch that.
this is also a true indication. In order to win the fight against racism, I have a theory. What we have to do is flip the Karens. The Karens are one of
Yeah.
the strongest weapons that the white supremacists have. If we can flip the Karens to believing that Black Lives Matter, bitch, we about to run this bitch for real. Like once a Karen is like, listen, I said Black Lives Matter, and if you ask me again, I'm going to have to speak to the manager. I need to speak to the
Yeah.
manager. I need to speak to the manager of systemic racism right now because I have some words. You know,
Yeah. And you know
I
what?
ordered this racism and I'm sending it back.
And that's what Karen's ass needs to be doing right now. I'm like, Karen, use that power for good. Come on.
And it got tense. There was a really tense moment when Saya, because Saya had this moment where she was where I can see. I'm trying to look at it from her perspective as well, where she was like,
Hmm.
"Y'all fucking with my money.
Yeah.
I need this job," and you were interested in like letting her voice that, but didn't want it to get too. Wow, tell me more about how that because that was tense.
It was, and I am friends with Saya Naomi. Saya Naomi is a part of the Black Legends of Chicago. She's been doing drag forever. She was one of the, well, no matter what you have to say about her, she was one of the first Black girls up and down the strip, like working it and like being like that it girl. I also completely understand people being put in a situation where they're like, I need to like protect myself and my gig and everything else. And I did want people to be able to voice their opinion anyway. Um, but I was a little taken aback at first
Mm.
when that conversation started because it's not like I wanted her to come on there and be like, yes, fuck these white people and everything else. I just wanted her to be honest about situations that she's had that
It
even
would have
I
been
know of.
nice.
Yeah, and other black people were like, Saya, what about this time or this or that or that, you know? But you know what? That's the experience she wanted to share, and that's absolutely okay. I thought that she was going to come with some of the other stuff, and she didn't. So you know,
Well, she
I'm
did.
not
She
gonna.
did allude at one point. She was like, "I did get called out of my name by some patrons," and then it was Brian who saved me,
Yeah.
or you know that kind
Well,
of
the
a
thing
thing.
about it
But
was, and like, I don't know the complete truth to it, but all I heard is that when that happened, that she was the one that ended up getting suspended for work for it. So I don't think that was
girl,
actually handled correctly. But if she does, then hey, I don't know the deals. But she was there to give her opinion, and I'm glad that she was because I know that all of us have different experiences. Just like you said,
yeah,
I have different experiences because people know that I'm the bitch that's going to run my mouth. So people are like, take care of her, treat her well, do whatever she needs.
because you're
Like,
gonna say something exactly, exactly.
yeah,
And I want to say people shocked because I'm not bleeping out these names on here. I'm gonna keep the names like from when I said holiday earlier because for me, whenever we go to the marches and like we talk about the people who we've lost, they say their names. I'm taking that into everything. And when it comes to people
absolutely.
who have transgressed, I'm like, bitch, say their names too. It's like folks out there who are
Yeah,
like, well, I don't want to hear like don't say his name, call him 45. No, say Trump's name because people need
yeah.
to know that it's attached to him. Don't be like 45. Don't be like Big Orange. Bitch, we out here saying names. I want to reiterate, ladies and gentlemen, I just don't like y'all bitches, and I'm not hiding it in 2020. Bye. The
I
poet
didn't know I was
laureate, Hot Girl
manifesting, but
Meg.
I was.
So then later on, this is probably one of the most intense moments because everyone's seen the shave version, but y'all did not see the Joe Mama and Cat moment, which was okay. Joe Mama was hot,
Yeah,
hot like fish grease, like hot.
And I
And
understand.
they do this thing where they're talking, and then toward the end, right before everything's wrapped up, Kat just goes, and by the way, Joe's tried to get me fired because of my gender. And then it was so weird. Within a second, Joe's camera was back on and
Yep.
was like, and I was like, this is a better than Untucked. This is amazing. This is
Oh
amazing.
my! I
Is
was
it mentioned
watching
that I
it.
love the drama? Is that horrible? Is that
No,
horrible?
absolutely not. It's real life. It's fucking real life. This is our real lives. Like, this is what we live. And I know everyone's experienced this in some way. But I was watching that happen and I was like, oh no, get him out of the room. Get him out of the room. Oh, he signed back in. It's about to go down. Oh
Yeah.
no.
Yeah, that's
I,
what I love. I love when you were like you said no, Joe, we're gonna have you leave the room now.
yeah. I was like, oh no, because I know my daughter, and that was literally sending flames across the side of her face. I was like, this is on now, like it's about to be bad. So, and like the whole focus was about to be us actually, having some legit conversations and like focusing on what we can do to make the Black lives in this community and across the world better with our own work.
Mhm.
But like, yeah, that was a moment where it just completely went like left, and I was like, oh my god, we have to bring this back right now.
Yeah, it got wild. Did they ever like? I mean, actually, it's none of my business, but I hope they were able to talk about theirs because I know Joe was talking about getting lawyers, and also I'm intrigued by how many people have I don't know if Kat followed through with this, but Kat was like, "I'm quitting drag now," and I was like, "Are
Yeah,
these people instead of addressing their problem, they're all just quitting?
yeah,
They'd rather just
yeah.
be like, well, if I can't be racist, I don't want to do it."
Well, there was that part too where, like, I said to them, I was like, I don't want you to say that, if it's because of this or you having to have, an uncomfortable conversation or deal with, some things you have done in the community. I don't want you saying that, like, you're quitting because of that. But apparently, it's a thing. Everyone would rather throw everything away than have to deal with, like, some really uncomfortable problems. That being said, Kat sent me a Venmo today, and also sent Molasses Chicago, the collective I work with, empowering Black trans people, a Venmo, and they have been every month, like they said they were.
Work.
So people are doing the work.
You
So
are literally out here changing the scene. I just want to say, like, you are literally out here changing the scene, getting fucking reparations. I mean, Miss Thing, this is like, this is, do you realize how major this is? I honestly feel like this is a part of Black history. Like, folks are going to talk about the Chicago Drag Council for like years to come in terms of it's literally changing the way that people are treating people of color in the nightlife scene. Because there's something that is charming and real and insane about the whole thing because in drag we have these like things that we think of as like we think about it, we say them all the time, but like to see these
yeah,
people like on this platform discussing things that may seem trivial to other folks, discussing the politics of Beyonce night. I mean,
yeah, yeah, exactly.
it sounds crazy, but when you think about this is my income, this is how I make my money, bitch, it's not trivial. It's real.
Not at all. These are
You
real
know what I mean?
lives. These are real Black people's lives.
Have folks been reaching out to you about the drag council
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
like
It's
trying to start their own and stuff?
I've heard from Minneapolis to Milwaukee to LA to all over, about people either looking for some guidance in how to do it themselves or just to empower us also to be like, hey, we stand with you, we have your back in the work that you're doing right now. It is completely wild. I never thought of it as being this thing that was really going to change the drag scene and like change the drag community across the country and across the world. But it is probably one of the most important things I've done with my drag now. Like, I think this is really, really huge. And now it's like even more important for me to like really do this correctly and make some standing change with it. Also, you see, I've pissed off every other white man in Chicago by suggesting that we change the name of Boys Town, and now they've actually ran with it. So everyone,
Work.
they're all like upset, and it literally was me just being like, I want to call it something other than Boys Town because I'm not no fucking boy, and like there's queer
Yeah.
people here, so let's call it Queers Town, which is not even probably the name we should go with. But I was like, can we think about something different? And that's really all that I'm like trying to get into everybody's head is like it can be better. We just need to like think of something different. Like let's take this time now while we have the chance to try and make something better and different out of it. So
Well, the
I'm
people
glad.
at the top, as we get closer and closer to equality, these people, as we start to level out, start to feel oppressed
Hmm.
because you have to lose something for someone else to have something, and they start to
Yeah,
feel like, well, this isn't fair, this isn't fair, this isn't fair. But in actuality, I don't think that they know what fairness really is because the inequality has favored them for so long.
absolutely, absolutely. We've seen that all across the world. Literally, people not being able to deal with the fact that they're going to be treated, like we have, like, or we deserve to
Yeah.
be treated, better than it's wild to see. But you know what? It's time for it because I'm tired of having this fight. And even though I know it's not going to be the last time, I hope that we made a big stride, a big push forward in this.
You are Martin Luther Queen.
I dropped my camera. Oh my god! That's it. Put it across t-shirts and books, y'all. This is it.
Martin Luther Queen.
Oh my
um,
god.
let's move on toward the end of the program, which was the. By the way, if you all have not seen it, I mean, I don't know who Gail King Kong is, but Gail King Kong either reposted it or because did you all put it on YouTube? You can go watch it on Twitch. Yeah, is it still up somewhere where y'all are like officially on your
I think they took it
availability?
off of Twitch, but we don't have it up anywhere officially. I think people make copies of it and like put it other places and stuff.
Yeah, so there is a copy on YouTube. It's some person named Gail King Kong ripped it and
I
posted it
don't know
up.
who that is.
But girl, you got to watch it. So now this is the part that really made headlines. I mean, people were fully gagged. It was about Roscoe's. I worked at Roscoe's,
Yeah.
um, and it was they were calling to task Roscoe's and also specifically T Rex, who is one of the most popular queens in the Chicago area. Who I understand like. I don't. Is she still like working? Like, what's going on? Do you know what's up with T Rex? Have you been in contact with her at all?
Well, no one's working right now in Chicago because all of our clubs
True,
and like
true that.
venues basically are still closed. And like there are a few that are like doing drag, but for the most part, everyone's still really like not working. Um, from what I hear, they're at home and they're doing okay and they're going to figure it out. And I wish them all the best in the future. But to be really quite honest, I can't be too bothered
Yeah.
to really spend too much time on it from here on out because everything that I saw in that meeting and even like post, I really don't even think she's actually really grasped completely what happened or why it was wrong or what's going on. So I
Well,
don't
it
know.
may
I
be
wish
hard
y'all
to
the
grasp it until we go back to the club because right now we're all just staying in our homes. Once you get back into the
yeah,
world, Mama, it's about to get real. So one of
yeah.
the biggest moments was we mentioned earlier, Shea Coulee coming forth and asking T Rex, as she remembers, asking like suggesting that they do "Slave for You," while Shea Coulee dresses as a slave and everyone whips her on stage, and then also besmirching her name around town, labeling her as problematic, and which could directly affect her pocket and make sure she does not get paid. And not only that, but doing it to her drag lineage as well. And she was really held to task for this. And this is one of those moments where you are seeing all these black people who are really in charge of this specific situation. And the white
Hmm.
people are not in charge of it. And it really seems to weird people out to see that dynamic, which is new in regards to especially the queer scene.
Oh, absolutely,
You know what I
absolutely.
mean? Can you tell me a little bit more about like the aftermath of the Chicago Black Drag Council?
Well, like yeah, that moment when Shay came forward with that, like first of all, like it really shook shit up because I think a lot of people had never seen it to that degree.
Mm-hmm.
Because T Rex had honestly changed a lot since they had first started dragging, first started hosting. This used to be a person that used to scream out stuff I'm not even going to go into and everything else, and they had toned that down and they had different views and stuff. But I think also at the same time it became a thing of just being quieter about it, not being as vocal or not doing it in front of people. So like it wasn't a thing where someone could be like really called out on it. That yeah, that moment was wild because everyone in Chicago knew about it for years. Like everyone knew about that whole moment when they fell out and the fact that they hadn't been talking, but I don't think really everyone knew what exactly had happened that created the rift. And so everyone was
Mm,
kind of just like, "Hey, Shay, get over it. You know, like it's old. Whatever had happened. Like, you know, let it blow over." And Shay hadn't even really like said that much about it or what had happened to it. So it was really crazy to hear that like being brought out in that way. So really the aftermath of what the Chicago like Black Drag Council wants to do is making sure that no one is able to one have that much power over anyone again, that they can put people into positions where they can't speak up or advocate for themselves or others, and two, like just make sure that that power is like spread evenly and spread even more to people that are disenfranchised and needed, like Black trans women and trans performers, period, in the Chicago community who get shit on so much when they are like the queens of this community.
yeah. I want to talk a little bit about atonement because a big part of the Black Drag Council was atonement and
Hmm.
offer what the Black Drag Council did was, in my opinion, graciously offering a way for people to atone for their mistakes. This is one of the most gracious things that a transgressed person can do. What we have done is we have listed your transgressions, we have told you how to atone for them and how to make them right. What more could someone ask for? There's no guessing, there's no ha ha ha. You did this, we felt this, you can do this, it will be right.
Yeah.
And you all offer that. And here's the thing: I've mentioned atonement before on the Sibling Rivalry, my other podcast, about the thing about atonement is, in order for someone to feel atoned, it is up to the transgressed person to decide when they feel atoned.
Yes.
Also, no one owes you atonement. So if I
Hmm.
decide you can't atone, then that's just it. You can't atone. If I, it's kind of like I always said this: if you step on my foot and you say I'm sorry, yeah, you said sorry, but my foot still hurts. Are you going to give me
Yeah.
some aspirin? Are you going to give me a bandage? My foot is now bleeding. Will you take me to the doctor to make sure I didn't get a fracture? Then I will feel like you made it. But just you going, my bad, does not atone for you stepping on my foot. That's boiling it down to kindergarten standards, so everyone
Absolutely.
can understand. I want to. How do you like? How do you feel about the idea of like people atoning, or also like there's a thing where people don't want you to bring up what they've done in the past.
Yeah.
For some, have you experienced that?
Yeah, I've experienced that a lot. And like my thing about atonement is that like it's absolutely real. And like I don't believe in cancel culture, one, because it's not real, two, because it doesn't work. So like that's not even what we're trying to do. We're trying, and at least me, I'm trying to get restorative justice and get things taken care of from the past and make sure that ensure that things are better for the future. So
Mm.
absolutely I want people to be able to tone and to change and to get better and to think differently on these subjects. And I was hoping that that was going to be the outcome for everybody in that situation. So it was kind of wild to see someone that has been such an integral part of the community and has been billed, you know, as being like the top and the best and like the one that knows everything, like fumble this like so hard. I thought it was like the easiest thing ever that they were going to be able to do. Just like you said, this is what you've done, do this, do that. We're good. We're not even trying to like get rid of you forever or like cancel you or like take away your career. We are literally saying that you need to apologize and do the work to make this better and like take care of the people that you wronged, and that's too big of a thing for some people. So I mean, I don't know what else you can do. Like, you know, and there's people that keep pointing it towards me and being like, you were coming to grab power, or, you know, you just were trying to find a way to destroy this girl. And I'm like, no, we are trying to balance everything now. Racism permeates every single part of our lives. And like, you're silly if you don't think it's not a part of this like drag culture. Like,
Yeah.
stop ignoring it. Like, stop
Well, I'm
ignoring
intrigued.
it.
I'm intrigued with people who would rather save this one person than help the structure as a whole. I don't think white people realize they are victims of racism too. All of that racism doesn't positively impact anyone. Yeah, you may be
Yeah,
gaining some money or some this or some that, but racism is a negativity that affects everyone on all levels across the board. Whereas equality also affects everyone across the board, but it's good for every single person around. Whereas racism is bad for every single person around. Just because you're
yeah.
getting money or this for that from it does not mean that it is good for you.
hmm And a lot of
Anyway,
people can't grasp that, and it's really sad. But I can't make any grown person do anything. So all I can do is try to lead better and help out, the next people that come along.
do you have any digital shows coming up or anything you want to plug or talk about before we get out of here?
Yeah, first of all, I'm really excited about Black Girl Magic, which we do every single month. The Vixen started that show here in Chicago with me and Shay and Dita, and now it's digital. So that's happening on the 14th. On the 15th, I'm doing a show with Monique. But the one I'm most excited about is the one on the 25th, and that's my show Fabitat. It's my little birthday show that we're doing just to celebrate some of Chicago's best queer drag performers and celebrate the fact I'm turning 36 in my house.
How can we? Where can we find that? Is it going to be on Twitch? Where can we celebrate your birthday show with you?
So my birthday show is going to be on my Twitch page. It's Lucy Stoole on twitch.com, TV or whatever it is.
Yeah, Lucy Stoole on twitch.tv. You can type in Lucy Stoole on
Yes.
twitch.tv to support. Well, I hope everyone goes out and you're honestly, you've always been a Chicago icon since I met you. Have solidified and dug your heels into the ground to make sure people know that the bearded bitch with the contoured nose is here to stay. With the nose that could cut cheese.
Yes. I live for it.
Well, thank you so much for joining us again for Only Child, and we'll talk to y'all next time. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you so much, Bob.
Of course.